welcome again. Good to see you. And I begin with a phrase from today's Gospel. Alas for you, scribes and Pharisees, you blind guides, you hypocrites. And we have 7 of these greetings that Jesus makes towards the Pharisees and the scribes of his day. He's obviously very upset and disturbed by this. And he's directing himself to the crowds and to the disciples. He's not speaking directly to the scribes and Pharisees because there's no point. They're not going to listen. But he's concerned about the people because these are the guides. These are the religious models. And what influence will they be having on the faith and practice of the laity in the Jewish church, in the Jewish religion, I should say, or synagogue. And in today's Gospel, we have 2 denunciations, if you like, of the practice of the scribes and the Pharisees. And the first one, Jesus says, alas to you, scribes and Pharisees, blind guides, hypocrites, because you concern yourselves about the minutiae of the law, the least important. He said, you concern yourselves about tithing mint, dill and cumin, like little herbs. He said, if you're going to concern yourselves about that, concern yourselves about grain, about oil, about fruit. They'd be far more substantial. But in fact, you're not even looking at the essence of the law. You're not even looking at justice. In other words, they're not living justly. They're not giving good message, good example to the faithful. They're not practicing mercy. They're laying burdens on their people and not even lifting a finger to help them. They're not even acting in good faith. How many times do we see them come to Jesus and ask him a question? And the motivation behind the question is simply to either trip him up or catch him out. It's not even sincere. And that was one. So it was the hypocrisy of concerning yourselves about little things and not focusing on the essence of the law. And these are supposed to be guides and leaders. For a second time, Jesus directs himself to the crowds and to the disciples with the phrase, alas for you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you dedicate yourselves to the washing of the outside of the cup and the outside of the dish, while the inside is full of extortion and intemperance. Pretty strong words. But he's alerting the crowd to not be taken in by appearances. They go into the marketplace and the like, all dressed up with their full religious regalia, and they receive bows and courtesies and so on, as they would expect to receive. Whereas inside, you are full of extortion and intemperance. The image is not good. And Jesus is alerting the crowd to be aware of this. Now, why I've taken this emphasis on Jesus' abhorrence for hypocrisy. There are so many times in the Gospels where Jesus reacts to hypocrisy, far more than to violence or corruption or sex or any of those. It's hypocrisy. And if we think it's just a case of 2,000 years ago in Jesus' time, I saw a statistic the other day in a lecture that approximately 66% of what we might call ex-Catholics, those who have left the church in anger or frustration or disappointment, or perhaps have simply stopped any practice within the community, or perhaps have just drifted away without thinking about it. 66% of those have left the church because of perceived hypocrisy. They might be right, they might be wrong, it doesn't matter, they have perceived it that way. And I think we have a lot to answer for. And I think Jesus in this text is aware of that. And he is speaking to the crowds about the hypocrisy of the religious leaders of his time. So let's pray this week for our times. Let's pray for our church or our churches, that we might give sincere, honest, just, merciful, and good faith examples, so that the people be strengthened in their practice and their beliefs. Okay, God bless you. Go well. And once again, have a good week. Bye now.